Family of Light by Barbara Marciniak. Introduction by the Pleiadians. Greetings, dear friends. It is our distinct pleasure to partake of your reality once again, and to journey with you for a while on the road to adventure and self-discovery. What journey, you may rightly ask, for it may seem that you are traveling in circles, and the idea of a great adventure in your life is a far cry and distant dream from the daily dogma and relentless burdens of living you face. Nevertheless, allow us to accompany you for a while, as companions offering to entertain you and enliven your step, as we point out the sights and symbols along the way. We are storytellers extraordinaire, or so we've been told, and we too have traveled in seemingly endless circles, so we have much in common. Our destination is the same as yours, for we are you in another version and form of reality, as deeply entrenched and entrapped as you believe yourselves to be. What sort of paradox is this? And who indeed are we, claiming kin to you and yours? And why do we desire to journey with you? Well, these things you must decide for yourselves. We relate great tales and relish a resplendently irreverent good humor, all intended to figure things out, in all due respect, as best we can. We strive to make sense of existence, gathering multi-dimensional pieces of a puzzle into a form and shape that encompass untold and unrecognized societies. How can pieces of a puzzle be multi-dimensional, and what is multi-dimensional anyway? We can hear your questions now, and we guarantee that you will have many more before the journey is complete. So we ask, may we join you and enter your reality by invitation? For it is through your beckoning and with your permission that we spring forth as a part of your life. Feel into the depths of your being before you respond. Seek inside for an answer. For to invite us into your reality as friends and companions will, with certainty, confound and change your lives, and perhaps some of you are quite content with where you are. Perhaps you are not really interested in multidimensional realities, and perceive these ideas as vague notions and tidbits of unfounded fiction, fracturing and fragmenting a logic you paid so dearly to achieve. If that is the case, then you may do well to stop short now and put our tale aside. Perhaps in another time and place we will meet again. If, however, we have piqued your curiosity and you feel compelled to continue, so be it. It is best to start with the truth. As a matter of fact, if there is such a thing, it is best to end with the truth as well. And how about the middle and all along the way, you may ask? Well, the truth is essential throughout the journey. However, the ongoing paradox invariably involves your point of view. Remember that. Now, we are travelers through time, which is the best way to describe us. We call ourselves Pleiadians, though we answer to many names and characters. We are as real as you believe yourselves to be. When we encounter you, we may meet ourselves located on a slice of time, poised, as you believe, in a solid physical 3D world. You fascinate us, and perhaps by the end of our travels and tales, you will be fascinated with yourselves as well. For now, the task of telling is at hand, and so the tale begins. Chapter 1. Reality exists as a mirror. From our point of view, we are storytellers and are very pleased to have the opportunity to enter your reality, whether you are hearing our voices, reading our words, or are so finely tuned that you can listen to the silence of a summer's afternoon and hear our whisperings, echoes, our voices on the breeze. So, however you encounter us, it is our great pleasure to have your attention for a while. We are Pleiadians, or this is how we address ourselves. However, from your point of view, we are as difficult to name as you are from our point of view. You may appear to know yourselves. You have names, addresses, and certainly numbers that identify you. Perhaps shortly you will be chipped and programmed, hologrammed, automated, and turned into robotized beings. You are headed in this direction. Do you know who you are? We are a collective of energies, conscious and alive. We call home a small cluster of stars in the heavens known to you as the Pleiades. This cluster of stars has held a dear and important place in many cultures all over the globe, and some of you have traveled there, or have wished to travel there, or have remembered these stars in your dreams. Many native people have claimed a kinship to the Pleiades and to other star systems as well, since we are certainly not the only players in this tale. We are Pleiadians, and by some are reputed to be similar to you in form. By others, we are reputed to be kin to reptiles, or blue in color, or shapeshifters, changing from one form to another. What is the answer, you may be asking? Well, we certainly find our home outside your world, and yet we are a part of your world. You are kin to us, and as kin, we would like to share our perspective with you. As we view your world, we have the ability to look at time as if it is an ongoing diary, and to pick any point in time and pursue it. This is not such an easy task, you know. There are those who hunt points in time, whose sole ambition is to locate places in time and enter into them. They are, by profession or aspiration, time jumpers, which is a concept that your world, late 20th and early 21st century Earth, is learning to grasp. There is an energy that is coming to your world now in massive waves, in forms that are completely unrecognizable at this time, according to how your visual acuity is tuned. However, your other senses relay that you are living in the most absurd of times. Everything is topsy-turvy. You are in the collapse of your civilization, and this is why, as relatives, multidimensional beings related to you, we are here. Specifically, we want to share with you our perspective of what is occurring on your world. We think of ourselves as teachers and students, comrades and friends, and certainly as renegades. We like to define ourselves as systems busters, and to seek out those in the family of light who are systems busters as well. We are all family of light, and all of you drawn to our words and energy know about family of light. You are one of us, and perhaps have heard our tales and wonder about their origin. We will tell you now about these tales, about what is happening to you. As you live from day to day, you wonder what is happening. Why is everything changing? Why is everybody going berserk? What does this mean? Why are deceit and lies the name of the game? Where is moral integrity? Where is responsibility? Where is reliability? Where is compassion? Where is friendship? Where is love? Where is marriage, partnership? Well, where are they? In a culture that is collapsing, in a culture that is turning itself upside down, these qualities are not there. You live in a time when you are pioneering a new territory, when a massive shift in perception will occur, and when the wealth of an age is upon you. When you gather that wealth, you will discover that what you gather will be your ability to shift your perceptions. This is why we are here at this time. In our aspiration to explore and wonder who we are and why our world is the way it is, we have discovered a way to reach into your world, the world that you call Earth. The world you live in is where a version of your attention is focused. However, there is so much more of you that you have not yet met and explored. Our intention in these most absurd of times is to point out to you that these absurdities have a reason. You are about to shift from a very rigid, linear, restricted, and controlled way of living and expressing yourselves into an opening of perception, like a fan spreading open to greater expression and function. Our intention is to jiggle your consciousness. You are much more than you have ever been told. Even to those of you who have studied widely, considering yourselves adepts in the areas of mysticism, spirituality, shamanism, and the occult, we still say to keep your innocence, your humility, your respect, your reverence, and your purpose for living always available to expand. Without those attributes, and with all you must now know, you will be blinded by your own light and closed off. This is, of course, the test that the absurdity of the times creates for all of humanity. Will you be able to shift your perceptions? Look at the various areas of life where it appears that your freedoms are becoming very restricted. You cannot freely express yourself or voice your opinions, and you must follow like sheep, doing what you are told. Money means nothing anymore. Automobiles are thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. Everything is priced outrageously high, from education to communication. Your homes are threatened. Can you afford your homes? Where will you get your food? It costs so much money to have fun these days. Children no longer play with sticks and stones or mud because they are afraid of the earth. You are told there are diseases everywhere, and so you have become terrified of your body, which has become rigid and closed down. Your relationships with friends, family, and loved ones are falling apart. The understanding of sexuality is at its darkest hour. The misuse of sexual energy by way of perversion and occult power through sexual abuse has become rampantly open now and is understood as a tool of the ruling class, whether they are popes, priests, or presidents. Perhaps pharaohs and patriarchs and a number of other P's can be included in that category as well. Your religions, educational systems, and leaders no longer make sense. They are devoid of compassion. Their vision of humanity is cold. It is not a warm vision. The New World Order is certainly not a warm fuzzy. The great waves of energy that move through your systems are changing each of you on a physiological level. You are being changed as a planet. This is why we, as Pleiadian kin, come to you now. As we sought to know more about ourselves, we found avenues to meet you. We began to understand that by meeting and working with you and placing a wedge of energy and attention into your world, we could understand ourselves. If there is anything we have learned in our journey through existence, it is certainly that reality exists as a mirror. Some of you will say, "Ah, yes, we know that. We have heard it before in many terms. What you put out is what you get back. Thought creates. You create your own reality." At this point, this is a very deep and important concept to grasp, for it is truly one of the greatest continuing laws of existence. We knew that if reality always mirrored itself, and if your portal of Earth drew us, there must be something here. Over the last 10 years in your time, we have been learning about you, teaching you, coming into your world and disseminating information that would assist you at a very crucial point in your development, where your civilization collapses. You may ask yourself, why, pray tell, is this happening? And some of you may deny this and say, civilization is not collapsing. Look, I have a bigger car, more money, perfumes and leather shoes, cashmere sweaters, trips all around the world, more than ever before. Oh, that is true. Some people are sitting in the lap of luxury at this time. If you were to open your eyes and take a look around, you would see very few who live this way. The vast majority of people in your world have signed up for a struggle. By this we mean that they believe what they are told. They attend school, listen to their parents, or whatever authority is extending its truth and saying, "This is how it is." Although there are many reasons for such compliance, this is a characteristic of humanity, or at least one that has occurred for a long period of time. And yet, if no one has told you, dear humans, you are some of the most powerful forces tucked away in the universe's secret caches. We do not say this to get you all stirred up, and certainly not to expand your egos. When you are powerful, you can destroy yourselves as easily as you can create universes. The reason we are here addressing the subject of the absurdity of your times and the fall of your civilization is because you are taking power and destroying yourselves rather than creating universes. Many forms of life know about this power because the universe is vast and the galaxy is abuzz with consciousness. Many of you know that you are connected to star systems that hold intelligent life, and that on all the planets of your solar system, intelligent life exists in some form or another. Your solar system is not what it appears to be. The planets, as orbs of energy, exist within a particular relationship to one another, and they are planned in the same way you plan your automobiles. You do not randomly throw things together and then expect them to take you from one place to another. You have developed an understanding of certain principles and built an expanded science around the process, a science that appears to work because you believe in it. You have designed it because you are powerful creators. However, if you stick to that one science, you may miss another science, and then another, and another, and another, for there is certainly more than one science. Reality is a mirror, and anything you decide to create can work if you believe in your power and have a few tricks up your sleeve. Our intention is to offer you a few tricks of the trade, a few lessons in living so that you can move through these most tumultuous times. As family of light, you are systems busters who travel through time, entering systems in need of change. You go in and facilitate the collapse of systems because you carry light. Now we ask you to question light, to ask where it comes from. How many shapes does it have? What does it do besides light your homes and streets? When light changes shape or color, when it flashes across the sky, does it shift your consciousness? When the eclipses of the sun or moon in the afternoon or night sky hold you captive, what really happens in your being when light is altered from its normal patterns? Light, from one point of view, is information. As we share our light with you, we will engage in a mind-to-mind exchange to extend your field of perception, to explore the corridors of time through your DNA, in order for you to remember the real history of your planet and yourselves. You have been taught that early humans crawled out of caves or were expelled from the garden, and they slowly evolved over a few thousand years, struggling with ice ages and discovering the wheel. This is certainly not the case. You spring from an ancestral heritage that comes from the stars. You are stellar stock, and you and your planet are not here as the result of a Big Bang accident. Everything is planned, and the universe runs because it is planned. Perhaps you cannot conceive of the engineer, the designer, or the production staff. However, that does not mean they do not exist. When you were children, there were many things you could not imagine. Even now, as you fledgling adults are reaching for more, there are all kinds of stellar punctuation marks occurring in the heavens which you cannot imagine, altering your consciousness month by month as you move into the 21st century and beyond. Actually, we are making an energetic opening for you to reach into the 21st century and beyond by assisting you to become beings of value, purpose, and complete responsibility. Your challenge at this time is to gain your freedom, and this does not mean fighting the government, the military, their mind control, or any of the other forces that appear to trap you in 3D. Although it may appear as if you are being squeezed and your individuality annihilated, there is always a bigger picture. In dealing with day-to-day living, you may find yourself questioning your sanity, your purpose, and what to do from moment to moment, overwhelmed by the whole spectrum of life. We will say to you that the picture is bigger than you can imagine, so buckle up and relax. Life on Earth includes much more than you thought, so do not get stressed out now, for there is much more to come. Our intention is to help you get through these times. Ideally, we will create openings of energy through you so you can relax and understand who you are in this immense process of change. You may be asking yourselves, why are we Pleiadians here? Why do we do this? And we can tell you this. We learn from you, then learn about ourselves because reality is a mirror. You are not easily looked up on the map of existence. Can you imagine all of existence and time being simultaneous? How then do you imagine one finds you, a quarter of a millimeter of a needle in a cosmic haystack? Well, we have found you in the search to know ourselves, and we experiment with you because we understand that you and all of existence are an experiment. Everything you do is a reflection of what you believe, so it is our intention to disseminate energy as ideas that you, as humankind, can perhaps use as tools for survival. It's a handy term, tools for survival. And this is what you must survive, the shift from linear living into a multidimensional expression, where the fan goes from closed to open, like the ones that geisha girls and southern ladies carry. This is not an easy process to undergo. Therefore, we will address some of the most difficult areas. You must keep your physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual bodies tuned up, and there are many ways to do this. Now here is something of importance for us to convey to you. Whenever you are finished living on the earth, you have a chance to review your life, to look back and say, look what I did on earth. We would be most pleased to hear you say that you had gathered many golden nuggets of lessons in living, and in that regard, we would like to contribute a form of gold to you. However, this gold is more than a valuable mineral to exchange at the bank for material riches. It would be too easy for you if we were able to arrive with a truckload of gold and dump it in your backyard, saying, "Here, dear humans, is your golden light. Go cash this in." Many of you would like to just be given your truths as you sit on your thrones and say, "Look here, I deserve it." As family of light, you go into systems to create change. You are wayshowers. And oftentimes you must learn the most difficult aspects of the system before you can change it. You enter a system to experience its depths in excruciating detail, so that you can relate to others, your family and friends. Although the rest of the world may not think they are family of light, they all are. Everything is part of one and the same source creator. The story we tell is the story of humankind, a story of living in the cosmos as a huge family, a family that has had its problems, as all families do. This family has a branch, which we call Family of Dark. As Family of Light, one of our intentions is to explore Family of Dark with you. The branch that hides out of the closet. The branch that everyone is ashamed of, humiliated over, and embarrassed by. To add to the confusing mix of names, labelings, and misunderstandings, your branch of Family of Light, the Systems Busters, is often considered to be the black sheep by both sides of the family. As you experience the massive opening of energy, which is indeed an infusion of light, an equal experience of looking at the dark cannot be avoided. In the world of duality where you dwell, shadow defines light, just as it does in photography. It may be that the more light you create, the more you will see the shadow that defines it. Perhaps some of you have been a bit naive, too willing to play the game, listening to those in authority and doing what you are told, rather than thinking for yourselves. People are not encouraged to think. Mass programming is in effect all over the world. You are taught what to think, and you pay a good amount of money for this experience. This type of misuse of energy can only go so far before people become disconnected little boxes, compartmentalized fragments, without a connection to the whole. When anything becomes fragmented in this way, it eventually collapses on itself. The part cannot stay separate from the whole for very long. Only for a little while can a small part remain isolated. Do you understand? When you look at nature, plants, animals, or yourselves, you see that you cannot reproduce if you remain isolated. Because you have been fed a series of falsehoods for thousands and thousands of years, each person on earth has become compartmentalized in what he or she believes, disconnecting from real thinking and from the self and other people. At the foundation of your worldview is the idea of separation, which is not necessarily the wisest of founding principles. As light and cosmic energy arrive to affect your planet, this founding principle will begin to collapse like an ancient infrastructure built in an improper place. Structures can be viewed from the future, so as to consider the generations to come. Your ancients built structures on the planet in this way that have lasted far longer than your modern buildings will, because they had a broader understanding of the cosmos. They were in contact with the heavens as well as with the earth, and they were motivated by the idea that everything is alive. They considered ether, representing spirit and the invisible realms, as a fifth element in addition to earth, air, fire, and water. We use this invisible realm to come from the Pleiades to speak to you, to electrify you, to have fun with you, to learn from you, and to transmit an energy that is yours back to you. When we look at your world from our point of view, you exist as if on a page in a book. In many ways, we look you up, knowing what comes before and what goes after you. Living on the page, you have no idea in most cases of this broader perspective. You believe you know what happened before your time. However, you do not have the full, juicy version. When we first located you, we felt that we could assist you to perhaps enhance the pages of your book. Now, there are beings who exist within a very limited mode of thought, who feel that when they write a book on existence, the book must stay fixed forever. From your point of view, these beings may be called gods. They exist in an abode of the deity, where they have a home of their own. Within their abode, they have laws and regulations which are far more expansive than yours, but also of limited thought. This is how you became confused and surrendered your thinking in the first place. Beings that you adored, emulated, and did not question have issued you laws that no longer further your well-being. The laws have never really worked. However, now, with the mass compartmentalization of people, the gears of old Earth laws are grinding your civilization to a screeching halt. This may be seen in part as people lose jobs and have greater credit card debt than they have ever had. In the process of moving faster and faster to expand yourselves and accommodate the shift in energy, you are losing touch with practical living and common sense. We said earlier that your freedom is at stake. Your freedom is based upon your responsibility, 2 words, your ability to respond to what is happening in your world. If you cannot manage 3D, you will never make it in multi-D. Many of you think managing 3D requires going faster, having more technology, knowing more people, and rushing here and there. As things go faster, slow down and put yourself at ease. Take time to listen to the birds, the sounds of nature, the crackling of a fire, the natural sounds. Get outdoors. Be by yourself. Take time for yourself and learn to expand your awareness and to hear a voice inside. Then be certain to question that voice and all that that voice brings. When you begin to open the fan of yourself with respect to these voices in your head, an opening to the abstract occurs. Humankind has long been deflected from thinking in abstract, non-linear terms. Living nowadays is quite solidified and linear. Yet you rob yourselves of a great venue of experience, a necessary frontier for masses of you to become artists within. Many, many people must create a new high art of thinking in order to translate the changes that are coming. The ancient Egyptians called the voice in the head the Ka. It was considered to be a double, or another version of the self, used for guidance and inspiration. This concept is very different from the idea of possession. For now, we want to set a tone of inspiration and inform you that on this journey with us, you are to activate this mysterious concept called the Ka. Because you no longer experience or seek out the abstract, this little known aspect of human development has been forgotten. Yet the abstract knocks on your door today, asking you to reach beyond yourself. In many ways, the internet mirrors the link-up of your inner psychic highways and byways. Reach for guidance. Reach for your inheritance, because this voice, the Ka, this inspiration, is yours. You must learn to claim your inheritance in this most absurd of times. The Ka will help you to shift between linear and multidimensional living. It is an important key to knowing yourself, an essential tool for survival. Do not forget it. As your system collapses and familiar comforts disappear very rapidly in the next few years, there will be an equal amount of opportunities and reappearances. A force of psychic, spiritual energy will explode, creating many rapid changes on a planetary scale. These changes will herald a new way of thinking and perceiving, where you will link up as one humanity. For a while, it will look like the link-ups are happening on the internet, where up to a certain point in time, it will appear that you are more and more electronically linked. However, because of unknown plans, great energy surges and geophysical earth changes that are occurring at a rapid rate, your electronic grids will eventually break down. Many of you will find yourselves in the situation of here today, gone tomorrow. Will there be electricity? Will there even be food and water? As time goes by, some of you will have 1 or 2 week bouts without a ready supply of food, electricity, or water. Changes may then begin to accelerate. Everything you do now, every day, in every moment, counts. You have been told that life is an accident and holds no meaning. We are telling you the exact opposite. The big engineer in the sky makes everything work. Otherwise, life comes to a screeching halt. And if and when that happens, it just means an overhaul is taking place. This is what is happening in your world. You are getting an overhaul, which does not imply that everyone's life will come to a halt. It means that whomever or whatever you have placed in positions of authority, be they governments, religious leaders, educational systems, kings, priests, popes, or presidents, their power will now be questioned. This is a time when power will return to the people. You will have to claim for yourself attributes that few know about. Remember, in the cosmic stories, you are seen as extraordinarily powerful beings, as creations of the gods. You are the ace up their sleeve, created genetically eons ago and stored away, tucked away for that just-in-case time. And in many ways you have been secreted in the corridors of time. In the big book of existence, it is hard to find you. However, you have been found. Your time and coordinates are known, And now many are coming to your world because they all know there is a vein of gold here, and some will trick and entice you with their distractions. Be very selective of what you choose to think, and believe in yourself as you unfold your fan of consciousness. Perhaps you will then understand that the great infusion of energy from the heavens is going to shine on a pot of gold inside of you. As family of light, you are quite simply decoding and unfolding to what is already inside you. And as your family and kin, we will keep you company for a while and remind you of this process. We will support and encourage you, be good friends, and perhaps occasionally offer a shoulder to cry on. For the tears that you will shed unveil mysteries and deeper feelings. No tears of pity or blame, though, for those are foolish tears. The unveiling tears are healing, and you may experience them again and again as you read our words and experience life. Hold no shame over these tears, because they help melt away the rigid control that has kept you from thinking and understanding who you really are. The power you have within you was given to you by the gods when they wove your DNA together eons ago. You will now have to figure out why the heavens are full of visitors. Who are they? Are they the creator gods? Extraterrestrials, aliens, and other forms of intelligence are coming forth through every version of reality. You are going to live with this experience, although the idea that other forms of intelligence can readily appear anywhere at any time will totally shatter your linear worldview. Remember, your linear world is based on a calendar, one that is not very old, and even an ancient calendar like the Mayas is still a time construct. Time is actually organized and considered around a theme, which is set into motion and then remains consistent enough to create a thought form that maps it and makes a virtual reality. Time is elastic, and your experience of time is certainly not the same as the time we Pleiadians experience. We can scan the book of time and travel through time by picking coordinates, time jumping. You must understand this concept, then learn to become a time jumper, first in your mind, then literally. The corridors open. And it is important to understand that every lesson and experience in day-to-day living is to help the decoding of yourself as a galactic resident, and, most important, as a human being. At this time, your most important task is to live. Do you understand? To want to live and to create a continuity in living will be in itself a challenge, for the more you live and are open to knowing many things, the more you are going to find out. This wave of energy is waking you up physically, triggering a perceptual shift which makes you aware of so much more on many different levels. One of the greatest challenges you face is to understand how the mind works. We said that we will convey thought to you, mind to mind. You are, of course, telepathically expanding. Many people are very good at it, while some people cannot imagine it ever working. Yet you are born with this ability, all of you. If you cultivated it, you would be far more astute than you believe yourselves to be. Then again, if you were far more astute, you would not be as manageable. Much is kept from you and held in secret as higher knowledge. Your ability to heal, to use your mind to create what you want, to send and receive messages, to see pictures or read energy fields. These are your innate abilities. If if you claim these powers, then the few who live in wealth and are in charge will have a very difficult time managing you. How could they if you were free, unencumbered by shoulds, sins, and limitations? As we have said, the abode of the deity is the home of limited thinking. The deity, or that which you worship, always gives you limited thinking so you can be managed. The gods cavorted in the heavens, gallivanted around the universe, came to earth to mate with the daughters and sons of humans, and then they left. Your literature is full of these stories. They left their kin, their progeny, and their bloodline behind to rule. Their children did not necessarily relate to you humans, so they set up priesthoods and militaries to control you and make you obey. During the feudal times of the Dark Ages, humans were locked in many limiting forms, and you still are today, although the forms that lock you in are invisible. You are not tried by inquisitions, nor are you pilloried or burned at the stake. A very subversive way exists in which you are controlled, very covert. So covert that it is unrecognizable by a large majority of those who are quite happy to be told what to think. Now, this is going to be very disturbing and hard for some people to integrate, yet it is one of your greatest opportunities. Some of the darkest challenges, the most difficult lessons, hold the greatest gems of light. Mind control will first be understood on your planet from the negative side, from a very dark avenue. And from that understanding, you will spring into a very great light, a new dawning in the art of thinking, birthing a renaissance of being. Many people will come forward and speak the truth about how the human mind is being manipulated. You may then begin to understand how the gods have played the same game over and over again. And perhaps it is the gods themselves who manipulate certain humans, who then manipulate the rest of you, who are in turn the sheep who obey, who always arrive on time, and who die according to the official rules. This is going to stop. As you learn about how you have been controlled and influenced, you will see how easy it is to feed you data, whether it is through electronic repetition or dark, black, occult misuse of power through sexuality, cannibalism, or murders. All kinds of ways exist to fragment and compartmentalize humans. You must use your mind as a tool because it is a field where you create. As we have said, everything is a mirror, and that is one truth that we bring to you as we tell you tales of existence. Our ancestors learned that reality mirrors to you what you are, so remember. Remember. You are taught that you are alone in existence so that you will be more manageable. Isolated, you cannot compare your world to another. If you were to visit another world and discover that they had the same God, you might check to see how God treated that world compared to how you are being treated. Perhaps you would find a different God there and decide that you like that God better. Or perhaps you would find there was no God at all, that the people were gods themselves. In isolation, you are deprived of expanding your experiences. Focused in linear time with very third-dimensional tactile experiences, you have shut yourself off from your psychic connection. As children, if you had psychic and out-of-the-body experiences and were able to time travel and see other vistas and other worlds, you were terrified that people would think you were crazy. You were afraid of being locked up or punished. Oftentimes you were told to hush up, not to say a word, because such things were not accepted. Why were they not accepted? perhaps because that kind of power sets people free. For those of you who have had these experiences, it is time for you to value them and to realize that as family of light, you are already rich. No one needs to grant you anything. You are already wealthy, and you can share that wealth with your fellow humans, your family. You may feel you are family of light, a certain kind of renegade, a part of a different group of people, all wondering, how did I come to Earth? I feel galactic, stellar. I feel universal. I have never felt at home here. My family was odd. I couldn't get into regular practices of living. I always looked to the heavens, always saw creatures. They came into my room at night to visit me. Family of Light has many strange tales to tell. Because many of the visitors are shapeshifters, you have not been able to categorize and name them, which is, of course, your 3D linear approach. Your science says, name it, label it, give it a genus and species, and then dissect it to know it. With the collapse of civilization and the expansion of consciousness into multidimensional living, your perceptions are the tools you will use to dissect, know, label, explore, and list your reality. Your perceptions are derived from your feelings and your ability to be yourself, to own and trust yourself, and to say what you feel, even when it may be diametrically opposed to everyone else's opinions. You may be called the devil incarnate. You may feel like cow pies are being thrown at you. Sometimes that is part of being true to yourself, but as humans, you have given this up. As we see it, if Family of Light is now here on Earth claiming a home, then you are certainly going to electrify the whole planet with new energy. One day everyone will be thinking, in one way or another, that they are all family of light. Even your scientists will agree that matter is simply trapped light, which suggests that you are all family of light and are all related to family of dark. We will make certain, as we explore our stories, that we tell the reason why dark does what it does, and why family of light may disguise itself as dark, or dark may disguise itself as light. Perhaps as we speak of mind control, you may say, oh, it must be family of dark that is doing mind control to humans. Who else would do this? It could not be family of light, could it? Now remember, we are asking you to question light. Who owns light? Where does it come from? How was it generated? What kind is it? What color? What flavor? What does it do? What temperature is it? How does it make you feel? Our stories are really about healing, because this is what you are here to do as family of light. Some of you think that you are stellar visitors here to educate others, to raise their vibration, and to say, here's your system, it's collapsing, here are some new ideas, and then we are out of here. For a while, Family of Light has done the disappearing act, its members jumping from one place to another, often so involved in their assignments that they forget to live. Well, Family of Light, because you have been so involved in your assignments, we are here to remind you at this time to live like you have never lived before. In living, you can fully, in living, you truly fulfill your assignment, because in living, there is doing, creating, and then experiencing what you create, receiving the richness. Unlike the farmer in the garden who grows fine produce and then picks, prepares, and cooks the crop, and then sits down at a magnificent feast to enjoy the fruits of that labor, you, as Family of Light, have forgotten to sit down often enough and feast. You are so busy doing and creating that you are forgetting the wealth of living, of being in the now, the ultimate richness of being alive. It is this richness we want to remind you that you are missing. Many of the lessons, the tasks and challenges you are now experiencing in day-to-day life, in your body, in your relationships, in dealing with the world, are about finding the value in living. What do you value? What is important? What is character? What do morals mean to you? What is integrity? Much of what we explore will be about your integrity, your responsibility, and how they are tied into your freedom as your world goes belly up in these most absurd of times. Family of Light by Barbara Marciniak. Chapter 2, Doorways of Time. We share our point of view with you for many reasons. From Earth, our home in the Pleiades looks as if it is far away, a mere speck and cluster of twinkling light. We are 7, though it has been said we are 8, and that Earth is part of our sisterhood, part of our fold of knowledge. As our records and our ancestors have shown to us, this appears to be true. You are connected to us from an ancient lineage. As family of light, you have many opportunities. You can link up through time as multidimensional beings. You can learn how to move the dial of your consciousness. Although a hand has many fingers, it is connected to something larger, a body, and that body is connected to something even larger. As family of light, you are challenged to make visible the invisible body to which you are connected. All of humankind is thus connected, but you do not realize it. Many people think they are only a solid physical form and therefore only seek out what supports their physical form. You believe your ancestors struggled in this manner. Perhaps the stories that you have been told about the past are not exactly correct. Perhaps your ancestors, your bloodline, operated at a much higher level than you can even imagine. They certainly lived in a time that was less technologically oriented in your terms, although the tyrannies, on the other hand, were just as pervasive. There has long been a battle for the human mind, but that battle merely reflects a more expansive struggle happening on a multidimensional level, where a battle for the soul's attention is being waged. Your Christian stories speak of the devil and Christ, the Son of God, who came to save you, and unless you are quick-witted enough to question these stories, you will believe that you must be saved. As we have pointed out, you are in this dilemma, the collapse of your civilization, because you have given up your freedom to think, to discern, and to decide what you want. This collapse is also occurring because you are afraid to feel. Your feelings are vast and all-powerful. Yet for many of you, they are crosses of shame. However, it is through your feelings that you can ascertain what you value. To know what you want in your lives, what you as humans value, you will have to question the system. The system rewards you when you follow its messages and its rules. You jump when its bells are rung, mindlessly agreeing to play its game for a paycheck, a vacation, prestige, and status. By going along, you abdicate your ability to think for yourselves. The test you face is one of power, so we will explore some of the positive and not so positive aspects of power, because there is no escaping power. Your value and your power have been undermined. Perhaps you have been taught that you are flawed, or that the gods must intercede on your behalf. Well, the gods, those whose dance through the heavens has become the cosmic quick-step, are going to appear everywhere in the next few years. And these gods may offer to save you with their technology. So as you seek to understand the absurdity of these times, look at what is important by applying your values to yourself. This is one of the most important messages we have for you. Your bloodlines are very rich. Ponder our words for a moment, then contemplate this. What could be in my genetic makeup? Imagine a computer with databanks stored full of information. If you push the proper button, a tremendous amount of data is available. However, a computer only holds the information put into it. In many ways, you are far more advanced than any computer you will ever create in a 3D reality. You are living biological constructs with a magnificent lineage capable of an impeccable existence. There are, however, a few adjustments needed to get you up and running, insights that are rarely understood by humans so far. Instead of applying tools for living, you have been enticed to back away from the most valuable aspects of yourselves. You have been baited and set up and switched. In your history, it looks as if you have had to struggle for many freedoms and to fight for the right to think. Actually, much of the tyranny that has existed in your Western world was designed to control the dissemination of information. And some of the greatest suppressors of knowledge have been the religious organizations of your world. In order to stay in power, they approved the seizure of lands, monies, lives, and literature. Thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of people were burned at the stake, and many great libraries of knowledge were also burned in order to wipe out the mysteries. What were the mysteries that religious organizations seeking to maintain their power were so eager to wipe out? Why is your history so full of crusaders and missionaries traveling all over the world? Were they sent to save the heathen, as you have been told? Perhaps there are more interesting and truthful stories hidden behind those campaigns. The energy we bring allows us to pass through the pages of time that transpire before and after your now. These are not the same pages found in the as yet unburned libraries of your world. The literature still available there holds hardly a thread of the truth. It holds only what the victors wanted you to know, what those in power want you to believe. Manipulation and deceit, murder, torture, treachery, and heresy have been whitewashed and painted over, or made so boring with dates and facts and names that your history reads like a dull conglomeration of meaninglessness. In order to truly know yourself, begin by taking a deep breath and acknowledging your body. Be who you are, and you will discover that you are very much alive and are here to live. Now stretch your imagination to see your ancestors, your parents, your grandparents, your great-grandparents, your great-great-grandparents, and so on and back and back and back through time. We dare you to find the end of your bloodline. If you found an end to your line, you could not be, could you? And as you consider your lineage, imagine your ancestral blood and the genetic codes stored in your body at this very moment. The genes that we maintain are so valuable. Over time, what has passed through your genes? How far back through time can you reach in your mind? As we convey our energy to you and your world, can you imagine that we have a book and that you can access that book? Use your imagination and allow yourself to experience the true multidimensionalness of your being as you listen to our words and simultaneously watch realities unfold from the core of your being. Our voice comes from many directions and places and speaks to your multidimensional selves. We offer you tidbits of knowledge, truths to entice you along, so you can begin to weave your memories together and know what has transpired on Earth, because you remember being here. All of your training during the last few thousand years does not exactly assist you in that endeavor. Over 2,000 years ago, another time of opportunity prevailed on Earth, a time where a change in season meant moving from one age to another. It was the age of Pisces, and as always, Family of Light was there to usher in this age. Ages mark the beginnings of seasons, each with their own flavor. In actuality, the ages define where the action is going to be. During the Dark Ages and early centuries of the Piscean Age, particularly the first 500 years, considerable ignorance and confusion prevailed. Many important books, such as the Christian Bible, were not formulated until a few centuries into this era. Different factions formed back then and argued over whose God was God and which book held the truth. If you explore the cells of your being and drift into another avenue of perception, perhaps you can remember what it was like. The clothes were different. The colors of the vegetation were brighter. and the sky hung overhead as if one could reach up and touch it. It was a different era with a stillness in the land that today, in early 21st century Earth, you do not have. Your world is abuzz, humming with electronic energy, even when you are in the midst of the bush. You have switched your world on and no longer know what silence is. But your other selves do, and it is to all of yourselves which we speak, as your eyes hear the words and your minds grasp the ideas we are conveying. As the Piscean Age actually began to blossom, many souls were purposely sent here to incarnate. Family of Light came, of course, to electrify that age, to imprint it, set it into motion, and lay a foundation. The Piscean Age is characterized by some as one of great enlightenment and passion, one of forgiveness and deep cosmic connection. We ask you to look back and see. Is that what has happened over the last 2,000 years? In the progression of any age, you can get caught up with the hoopla of what is coming. And you can, in any age, at any incarnation, and in any place of existence, forget yourselves. Whenever an age is opening or closing, a great shift of energy occurs. It could be considered like a change of political administrations, and as with a change of administration, there is always a shift in power. Now, one of the most vital forces you must understand is power. When you reflect on values and what you want to have, some of you think that power is money or money is power. Knowledge is power. And then consider that just because you have knowledge does not mean that you are wise. How you use knowledge will determine what will happen with power. As reality continues to maintain the ongoing law of mirroring itself, how you use your power will determine what happens to you. This is very important for you to grasp. You cannot escape power and its lessons. As a matter of fact, everything being directed at you today is meant to make you feel powerless, to have you believe you have not one iota of power. And this belief, stored in the cells of your being, was imprinted thousands of years ago. When the Piscean Age was beginning, many beings incarnated who had a quickening of abilities, and the rest of humankind seemed to marvel over them. These beings, both men and women, could heal people instantaneously because they understood cosmic laws. In those days, the telegraph, telephone, television, or telecomputer did not exist. There was no device to quickly tell others what was happening. The tele system was word of mouth from one person to another. People did not travel far in those days, and few could read or write. Those with quickened abilities sprang up everywhere. They were healers and could perform miraculous feats, and so the land was abuzz for a few hundred years with this opening of energy. These beings spread out over the land that could today be called the Middle East, an area that is very important in your planetary history and even today. They were there to raise the frequency of the Piscean Age by inspiring people to step through this doorway of change into a new era. The heavens were full of punctuation marks, just as the heavens today are full of signs as we continue along in the 21st century. Beings and energies of light will be contrived and holographically projected onto the heavens, and some people will believe that it is the second coming of Christ, here to save you. You are easily duped and tricked. However, do not berate yourselves for what we share with you. It is our intent to read the true book to you as we see it, in order for you to wake up. It is essential that you take charge of your lives and learn that life is significant and that there are lessons to be learned in living. One of the most important lessons is for you to develop a sense of humor. So as we share the stories of your world with you, maintain a sense of humor and keep a perspective on the development of human consciousness. You are a consciousness that incarnates again and again, yet you now live as if your lives were meaningless struggles with disease, sickness, starvation, and war. And what about love? You have all been touched by love at least once in your lives, and many of you come here over and over again just to experience love. When you find what is important to you and what is worth accruing and list your values, we ask you to reflect for a moment. How important is love? Love comes in many flavors and experiences. Love is the heart opening through an energetic connection between electrical fields that unites people, touching you in a way that never leaves you. As we look at the true book of Earth, we see over and over again that what moves you forward is this invisible force, this frequency that is called love. However, some of you believe you are here to experience, to learn, to gather data, and to have a good time. And the importance of love is news to you. There is nothing wrong with these assumptions. Yet understanding the frequency of love is your ultimate lesson in living. To manifest it, all you have to do is feel love. However, you think it is the hardest thing for you to do. Yet each of you comes here for love, because nowhere else in existence is love as varied and rich, as unbounded, untethered, and unique as here on the fringes of the Milky Way galaxy on what we call the Library of Earth. So we ask you once again to consider what is in your genetic makeup. We refer to your world as the Library of Earth because libraries store information. If you are the most magnificent creatures here, far more advanced than all of your gadgetry and technology, then what is in those genes? Could it be the richness of the love frequency is so vast and multifaceted and priceless that none of your controller gods want it available because it is so catchy? Reflect on that for a moment. You know when you feel love, it is quite contagious, is it not? Love spreads quite easily, and it is the opposite of fear. If you reflect upon fear and are truly honest with yourselves, you will see that many of the ideas instilled in you through your ancestral lineage, books, and history are about fear. You are encouraged to be afraid of God and your bodies. You are convinced you must have an authority outside yourself because you are not capable of managing your own biological beings. And now you are being convinced that even your local governments cannot manage you, that you need a larger global government to manage your world. You must begin to manage yourselves as biological, spiritual beings. Love is one of your major tools to living. How free you are with it, how self-generating and responsible is the lesson that you have come into life to learn. Just as we ask you to question where light comes from and what you do with it, we ask you to do the same with love. Where does love come from? Do you seek it outside yourselves? To whom or to what do you offer it? Do you ever think of giving it to your Mother Earth, or your Father the Sun, or any of the stars? Do you think to give love to the molecules around you that constantly move in and out of your bodies? Your bodies are not solid. Nothing here is. Everything is a dance of energy. An energy that is free and simply locks itself into shape and form because your perceptions are trained to see reality in a certain way and to continue a linear approach to existence. For example, every day each of you wakes up in the morning and faithfully reproduces yourself. You usually meet you in the bathroom mirror. You expect to see yourself because so much of reality is built on old expectations, conditioning, and training of the mind. Mind control takes many avenues. Limited thinking, encouraged and taught to your ancestors, is imprinted in the cells of your body. Your ancestors' responses to these teachings over thousands of years and to the times in which they lived, their reactions to violence, laws, and authority, were imprinted in their bodies in the course of daily living. Everything you deal with in daily living is recorded and stored in your physical body. And just because you do not consciously remember your experiences does not mean the cells of your body forget. Memories and responses to living are passed through your genes from one generation to another. Throughout the chronicles of Western history, you have passed down an imprint of fear. When Family of Light incarnated over 2,000 years ago, they were adepts of light and love, capable of many miraculous feats, and those in authority felt threatened by them. They did not want these teachings brought to the masses, and so there were many opposing factions from the beginning. Some people attribute this awakening of consciousness to the birth of Christianity because of the stories about the character that you know as Jesus the Christ. He is indeed a composite character, compiled and designed over many, many years. In actuality, these are stories about Family of Light, who came to the planet to bring truth, to challenge the system, and to disrupt a tyranny at that time when there was a potential for great change. The character of Jesus was created to attribute these spectacular powers to one supernatural being. Imagine what could have happened with the knowledge of self-healing and with the idea that, as you think, so shall it be. people had started implementing those practices very quickly on a wide scale, what would have happened? Certainly the Roman Empire did not want subjects more powerful than their rulers. The Roman Empire was the Piscean version of the New World Order, a karmic parallel of the Aquarian Age. Both orders, old and new, offer the possibility for a domineering, world-conquering force. When you manage people, you must first convince them that they need managing. So you create the problems and then let the people cry for solutions. Fear is distributed throughout the land, not love, which was the message of Family of Light. Fear has a very powerful vibration, and when one holds fear in the body, it transmits everywhere rather quickly with the same catchiness as love, by the way. There was a battle over love and fear. If love had prevailed back then the people would have understood their higher powers, the ability of the human mind to transcend the body, to astral travel, and to feel connected to all that is. If that had occurred, then humans would have ended the illusion of separation. Well, it was not to be. In the last 2,000 years, you have moved deeper and deeper into separation, rather than deeper into unity and love. Fear won temporarily. If you question this conclusion, we ask you to open the fan of history and see how many people have died in the name of religion. How many books have been burned, and how many people have been raped and tortured and murdered. How many indigenous lands have been wiped out, destroyed, and ancient manuscripts burned. An out-of-control energy seeking power over others came over the world. The books and works of the great ones who had walked the planet. Beep. The books and teachings of the great ones who had walked the planet were hidden. However, Family of Light did not simply walk the area of the Middle East. They traveled widely. The world was not as confined as you have been told. Even North America had been known for a long time as a very sacred land. Atlanteans brought much of their knowledge to this continent, and ancient artifacts from prehistory will be discovered in your modern era soon. Actually, they already have been discovered, but have been hidden away. Egyptians and many travelers from the Middle East and the Far East, including the Chinese, came to North America. The world in ancient times was navigated quite well. Family of Light was well traveled and carried messages far and wide. This is why to this day many native cultures have stories of peacemakers from across the seas who offered knowledge of higher vibrations and showed what was needed to live in harmony. You may be thinking about this prospect. What do I need to have in order to live in harmony? It seems you require money in the bank, an automobile, clothes and a roof over your head. It's true, your world is designed in this way at this time. However, many of the things you count on today will be gone tomorrow, especially if you are not living in sync with cosmic law. If you already know that your thoughts affect everything, and that you create your own reality, then rest assured that your version of reality will not simply disappear. However, those who refuse to acknowledge this law will have a sudden awakening. To seek an authority outside yourself is to dance in the abode of the deity, where limited thinking is the name of the game. As you experience everything being turned upside down, an opportunity is at hand to reprioritize your life. There is a strength inside you derived from your awakening to your own value, to what you are worth. Beep. There is a great and deep strength inside you, derived from your awakening to your own value, to what you are worth. We can see the great waves of energy coming to your world, affecting you from many different points of view. There are stories written about the various choices you make, so do not think there is only one line of existence from which to choose. Each of you, in every moment, creates a probable world based on what you want and what is important to you. From our point of view, we see that the web of life will help you assign great meaning to your life so that you can get the best mileage, so to speak, out of this existence. If you wish to take the high road, the scenic route, then we suggest that you travel with love, a love that can only arise from inside you. And as you love and value yourself, it will become easier for you to love your DNA lineage. Extending love to your ancestors will assist you in understanding their fears, as well as the immensity of the project you have undertaken. This project is so vast and spans such eons of time that the ages of which we speak, a few thousand years of each season, are merely pinpricks in time and existence. At these doorways of time, energy is always accelerated in order to build a new foundation. In the coming era of the Aquarian Age, the energy coming through will seek to enlighten all humankind. In order for this to occur, you must understand the depth of your past, your karma, and the lessons in living of the Piscean Age that you are about to conclude. You must make sense of the last 2,000 years and spread the awareness to all of humanity. A veil has been laid like a thick and heavy fog over your consciousness for many reasons. When you were born, most of you immediately felt the struggle of living. Throughout your childhoods, you strove to make sense of life. However, you were told that life had no point or purpose, and you were filled with fear. In school, you had to memorize facts and data. In school, you had to memorize countless facts and data that did not link up to anything, reinforcing the ancient, limited thinking of separateness and pointlessness. Everything was separate, nothing was significant, everything was an accident, and violence was everywhere. Most of your ancestors were encoded with these ideas, and yet there were always renegades. You are the renegades today, as there were renegades 2,000 years ago and 2,000 years before them. There are always those who do not buy the stories in the history books. Remember, the victors always write the history. However, those who live their own truths record their stories in their genes and in the ethers. One of the most transformative forces in your world is feminine energy, recognized as the mother and the goddess, which is deeply associated with love. The feminine principle brings life into being and has been the nurturing force on your globe for a long time. And the goddess will take her place as a rightful steward of human consciousness once again. Beep. And the goddess is taking her place as a rightful steward of human consciousness once again. Today, your world lacks an understanding of the goddess energy, which is a reflection of the lack of power of women and the lack of value that men and women have for women. A woman is the bringer of life. It is through her birthing experience, building life from egg and sperm, that the voices of the ancestors echo down through time and are imprinted into the cells of the child. To the old pagan worshippers, the goddess energy was quite prevalent in the days of enlightenment 2,000 years ago. They still maintained a goddess-focused culture, although it was receding more and more from the consciousness of humankind at that time. The goddess culture understood abstract thinking, personal cycles, experiences, and their views of time were cyclical rather than linear. The demise of goddess knowledge and the rise in power of the male vibration in the last 2,000 years are what led to linear thinking, reinforcing the concept that nothing is really connected. The goddess culture understood the power of birth, that everything is alive and significant. Plants, animals, and the elements of earth, air, fire, water, and ether. The people understood that the invisible ether was filled with spirits and with energy. Modern eyes are not trained to perceive the ether. A long time ago, your genetic structure was set a certain way, and your biology was arranged so that you would conform to prescribed patterns of behavior. This story goes back to ancient times. You can be telepathically influenced, and energies from your creators can be sent to you as frequencies, as literally beep. You can be telepathically influenced, and energies from your creators can be sent to you as frequencies that literally rearrange your DNA. You were experimented with hundreds of thousands of years ago. Eventually you will ask, who are these creators? And we will get to that part of the tale eventually. We remind you that the story we tell is one beep. We remind you that the stories we tell is one you unfold in yourselves as it is beep. We remind you that the stories we tell beep. We remind you that the story we tell is one you unfold in yourselves as it also unfolds in many cycles of time. Those who lived close to the earth and understood the feminine principle believed that God was in all things. They did not have one God because they were abstract thinkers. Living close to the earth, they understood the plants and animals. Their cycles of time were marked by solstices and the equinoxes and the full moons because they took note beep, Their cycles of time were marked by the solstices and the equinoxes and the new and the full moons, because they took careful note of the heavens. They did not have newspapers. They read the world as they lived their lives. Life was more challenging, yet simpler in many ways. And people did not strive as much for the accumulation of material goods. They lived in communities and clustered together because they needed one another. Family lines were remembered, and oral history was very important, so people's minds were quite sharp. They would memorize stories and trace their family lines back in time. Storytelling around a fire was often the most common form of entertainment. Holidays and ceremonies were organized around the movement of the heavens, and the modulation of light and dark ruled the old world as you know it. The peoples of long ago noticed what was occurring in the heavens. They often slept outside during the summers. Huts, castles, and fortresses were used for colder weather. The sky and the atmosphere impulsed and intrigued them, and for as long as they could remember, the stories passed down to them, whether from glyphs carved in stone or from scripts and parchments, always pointed to the heavens. It seems that from the beginning of humankind, the importance of the heavens was recorded in your stories. Ancient manuscripts were full of reports on what came from the heavens and the movement and actions of the heavens. Remember, no one traveled very much. Or knew what was happening very far away from them. The big entertainment every night was in the sky. Those who could translate the activities in the sky acted as intermediaries between the stellar parents and the human families. Knowledge that connected your ancestors to the earth was very, very important to them. Knowledge that connected your ancestors to the earth was very, very important to them. And combined with the activities of the family of light with their accelerated abilities to heal and teach about the frequency of love, the times were quite dynamic. Of course, this knowledge would set the people free, yet many were afraid of their own power and filled themselves with the vibration of fear. The authority at the time, the old world order, the Roman Empire, sought out the family of light and methodically killed them. There were many opposing factions at the beginning of what we now call Christianity. No one could quite agree on what was what, and diametrically opposed ideas were taught because there were many teachers and many infiltrators. Today you still have many teachers and dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens of kinds of Christianity. Yet some of you still look for something else. We see that you will all have to claim your own power to teach. Now, 2,000 years later, you are a product of the fear stored in your cells, a fear of opening to a new age of being, and of being all-powerful. Your ancestors were afraid of the gladiators, of being tortured and crucified. Those who claimed their own beliefs faced these horrors. Your history is filled with fights and wars in all countries, in all corners of the world, over whose God is the one God, whose beliefs are correct? Who are the infidels and who are the righteous ones? Who are the chosen ones? Now, if you look at this story from a larger perspective, you will start to get suspicious. How could the same pattern be so predominant all over the world? Why do we find people always fighting each other over God? A God supposedly based on love, but a love located far outside the self. Your great solution, no matter what is occurring, is to love yourself and to vibrate that frequency outside yourself too. Doing so will allow many doors to open, and likewise many unwanted probabilities will simply pass you by, like an angry bird on the wing. Today you are faced with a recurring opportunity. Imprinted in the consciousness of humankind are the experiences of all of your ancestors. When the age is shifting, a great opportunity is at hand. So what will you do about it? Will you claim your sovereign divinity? Will you claim what is in your genetic makeup? If you reach further back in your mind, you might remember another calendar point, a time exactly opposite this one in the great precession of the equinoxes, that approximately 26,000 year cycle of the rotation of the zodiac. Exactly opposite to your current now, about 13,000 years ago on the precessional calendar, another important time of enlightenment occurred. It was a time when power was to be understood, a time that you yourselves remember as the final collapse of a very old civilization, a royal age unable to manifest because it was based on selfishness. No one in Atlantis counted love as the most important value. Contemplate what their experiences 13,000 years ago suggest to you now. What memories echo from the Atlantean hallways? The Atlantean culture reached everywhere on Earth. They were savvy with their technological skills, and they too understood the ethers as an invisible spirit realm, a world to travel into and bring energies from. They understood the power of crystals and the power of the mind. More than that, they understood mind control. For the ability to control another human's mind reaches deep into your past. You seem to have developed your own perfection of it in the late 20th century Earth. However, this practice dates back into the early chronicles of human existence, as some of you already know and remember. Your tests today as human beings are not simply about meeting 3D challenges, although there will be many. Your opportunity lies in understanding that in the cycles of existence, you relive points in time to reach for and achieve something unique. It is time for you to acknowledge your divine sovereignty and live in the sacred here and now. Live for love. Live for freedom. For the amount of freedom you have will depend on your response ability. If you cannot respond, then you will lock yourself into a cocoon, a web so tangled that you can barely wiggle. As family of light, we address you. Look to what is inside yourself. The history of your world shows that people have been penalized for free thinking. You live in a world that at one time sold you a truth
The Earth is the center of the universe, and anyone who disagrees will be burned at the stake.
Today you face the same shift in perception. Will you expand your vision beyond what you think and have the courage to speak and live your truth? Unconditional love from inside yourself is essential to achieve this shift. Living begins to make sense when you realize you chose to be who you are. You are multi-dimensional beings, and there are many yous to get to know. There are versions of yous from a few thousand years ago and 13,000 years ago who have jumped into this reality to gather experience and to help the shift. And if you find you did not live at that time, then perhaps your mind has traveled to the Akash, those libraries in time where everything exists at once. A place where doorways open like videos on the screen of your mind, showing vignettes of what has been so you can make sense of where you are now. To the uninitiated, your world appears baffling. You may feel that there is so much to integrate and wonder, how can I make sense of it all? You can, you will, you must. You are here to chart foreign territory and to pioneer an unnamed opportunity. By doing so, you can truly discover one of your greatest abilities, that you are creators. You are not victims. You are not flawed. You do not need authorities, and no one needs to save you. You do not need to memorize anything from books. You must learn to use the power of your will and your intent to discover the great flowering and blossoming of life that is occurring in your here and now. Your modern world is marketed for separation, for meaningless living, with all of the sins, the heavens and the hells on display. It is a wonder that anyone wants to be reincarnated here anymore. However, love is here in a form that is beyond what you can ever experience any place else. Your ultimate destiny is to turn the whole world into a love frequency, and we are here to assist you in that process. We cannot do it for you, but we are here to tell you that it has already happened. Actually, one of the things we can do is entertain you and to feed you ideas and perhaps act as instigators. You are the final makers, the creators, and the doers. As you learn more about mind control and its many levels of influence, you will see that you are easily controlled because you do not want to be in charge of yourselves. You like it when ideas are forced upon you and you do not have to think. You like to be told what to do. You surf the internet and have no idea that the ideas you are fed lock you into limited thinking. You do not realize your genes can be rearranged telepathically. It is not easy to do so, however, it is done, particularly at the beginning of one age and the end of another. The wave of energy that comes from the ethers to awaken you brings power. However, if you continue to give up your power to others, you will live in the greatest tyranny this world can hold, a tyranny that reaches far and eventually wants to colonize space. This tyranny is mostly a secret. It exists today within the secret colonization of space. Yet you are unaware of it because you are being fed a story that is only part of the truth. Space is colonized, and people from your planet have been out there for a long time, on the moon, Mars, and beyond. The planets, like you, are alive. They are electromagnetic beings that influence you, and during this time you must awaken again to the importance of the heavens. A dark shroud has been cast over your consciousness. A darkness so vast that now so many of you are truly frightened to live. Your bodies are filled today with illness, stress, and pollution because you have been primed for fear over the years and have drawn to yourself negative energies, both physically and from the ether. And these spirits of the lower astral realms feed off your fear. Reality mirrors itself. The marketing of fear has been massive. Through meaningless data and meaningless living, you have drawn to yourself those who suck your power. Vampires and parasites, completely invisible to your perceptual acuities. They are nonetheless sucking your vitality because you do not want to claim it for yourselves. We will say to you, dear humans, love yourselves. Place supreme value on your existence. As you move forward and understand the unfolding absurdity of your times and why your civilization is collapsing, love yourselves. As you shift your perceptions, you will be able to rebuild your civilization based on love and respect for all of life, including your multi-dimensional ancestors, your multi-dimensional parents, and your reincarnated selves. As a multifaceted diamond like a disco ball, your facets, like your face, include all of them as you discover who you are. A wonderful healing is at hand, although at first it will appear as if your world has been rent asunder. Only in the shattering can the rebuilding occur. Our words convey an energy that will carry you through the 21st century, creating a bridge of sorts, a bridge built in your minds and one based on truth. Only you will figure out what is true for yourselves. But remember, whatever truth you choose to believe, it shall be. Family of Light said 2,000 years ago, "As you think, so shall it be. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you." In Lakesh Alakim. This teaching comes around again. This time, when Family of Light returns with the same message, will you kneel down before the gladiators? Or will you fight among yourselves and splinter and fracture and divide and conquer? Will you continue to argue over politics and religion and money and sexuality? You could look yourselves up in your old cellular files and say, we've been here before. We've seen that for the last 2,000 years. We created fear and pain and 2,000 years of separation for humankind, and all of the greatness was missed. Be uplifted at this go-around, For one more time, you get to do it again. We ask you, please, do it with valor and humor and love. Meet everything you create with courage. Think of your ancestors, of your bloodline, and the limitations put upon them. Then think about the light that you are, as well as your ancestors' light, for in some way there has always been a spirit that kept people going. Imagine yourselves removed from everyday living and looking at Earth across time, like we Pleiadians do. Can you see the foibles and the follies of humankind, as well as the victories? If you, as students of Earth, were to list the victories of humanity, what would they be? And if you were to list the victories of your own lineage, what would that be? And if you were to list the victories of your own one lifetime, what are they? See if you can come up with a few. We will tell you that the true victories will always involve love. All the knowledge in the universe cannot equal the frequency of love. Even though you are connected to a whole, that whole is separated into many parts, and those parts are vibrating now with difficulty because they are separated. Often those parts want to be separated because it makes them feel more powerful. This is the dilemma Family of Light faces. How do you share power with everyone? Why does it appear that one branch, called Family of Dark, has accrued more power than Family of Light? Why does Family of Light sometimes feel like victims? Why does Family of Dark have all the money, the wealth, the prestige, the international connections, and all the secrets? You know that a few people rule your world and have done so for a long time. As we mentioned, the gods came here eons ago and mated with humans. They stopped off here, stayed a few hundred years, and were gone. They started the lineage of blue blood, which indicates a stellar link to the heavens. Because everything is transferred from ancestor to ancestor, those who track their bloodlines and claim celestial lineage are very careful to keep themselves together. In general, they do not spread their vibration or ancestral seed to those they control. Form a select group, a cabal, and rule your world in secret. You know some of them, others you do not. When the gods came, they left a hierarchy of presidents and popes, kings and queens, princes and princesses, and patriarchs. There are those who are very knowledgeable about planetary history, and they do indeed understand that another form of intelligence has been communicating with your world for eons. They keep that knowledge to themselves because they have been so instructed. The gods have not really gone away. They have simply taken a nap. Time is different for them, so it appears that the gods have forgotten you, but they have not. They are here, and this is why you must awaken. You must ask, who are the gods? Who are these invisible forces? Who is the Family of Light? Who is the Family of Dark? Who are the gods of Family of Dark? Who are the gods of Family of Light? Who are the goddesses of everyone? And who am I in this process?